back to Gran Turismo 7, and today we are going to be seeing if we can redeem the Ioniq 5N. Last time out, you guys saw this car. I did a full build on it and did all the weight reduction, did the chassis rigidity, I did the ECU stuff, I did the brakes, all that stuff, and I still wound up hating this car. I hated how it drove stock, I hated how it drove modified. But there's one thing I didn't do when I built this car originally, and that was put the full aero kit on it, and on the wide body, and the big wing, and the roll cage, and pretty much recreate the Pikes Peak car, which is what you guys see before you. This is the same Ioniq 5N from the last video we did on this car, but we're going to see if we can redeem this car with all this extra aero, because the things I complained about the most about this car was mostly in relation to the braking, and the fact that it felt as heavy as it is. And the sense of speed was awful. So we're going to see today if all of this extra kit can redeem this car, because I appear to be the only person when this update came out that hated this car, and I appear to also be the only person who liked the CHR. So we're going to see if all of this extra work makes this car better. So as you guys can see, the interior is a little bit different with this big old roll cage in here, but we're going to see what it does and if there's an improvement. So obviously the first place we're going is where I actually tested this car before. I think this was the only car I tested in the forward layout from Dragon Trail when I did that series, when I did those videos here, which the modified car made it in the top 10 at a 137.9. So we're going to see if we can get this even further up the board. Keep in mind, at that time, it had 698 performance points. We have 718. This track does utilize aero a good bit, so we'll see if all of this extra aero will help it out here, get a closer time further up the board. Alright, so another thing too, the last time I drove this car was on my old Thrustmaster setup, so this is the first time I've driven it with my Fanatec that I'm running now. Alright, right off rip, that felt great. See, I don't know which one of these buttons is going to do my overtake. Guess I will never know. We just won't have it this time around. The aero has made a huge difference, though, in grip. Oh, the brakes still aren't my favorite. And again, I'm going to attribute that mostly to the regenerative properties of the braking. Let's see, any of these buttons? That's a turn signal. Oh, there's the overtake button. Get it real nice and slow on the throttle. Overtake on. See if we can reclaim some speed through here, because I know that was definitely less than ideal. So the brakes are still the limiting factor for me to be like, oh, this is like one of the best cars I've ever driven, but it has definitely made a huge difference with the aero. Uh-oh. Brakes let me down a little bit there. It's okay. We'll go another lap. I want to give this car a fair shot. It definitely feels significantly better. The tires are still screaming for mercy. I mean, this still is a fairly heavy car. I mean, already that lap time's an improvement, but let's see if a slightly better lap will help out a lot. I'm able to get on throttle a lot earlier. Yeah, I would say I'm a lot happier with this car right now than I was when this update came out, because I hated how this car drove with no aero. A little bit of a cut there. Overtake on. So we shoot down into this really tight corner. Have to really slow this behemoth down. On throttle, overtake on. Alright, the brakes let me down through here, but last time, they will not let me down this time. Go around this I love that corner. I love this whole complex right here, just the repeated right-handers. So we just scream onto the straights here. Hard on the brakes in the last couple corners. Gonna drop that front right a little bit, which is gonna knock us off the line a little bit. But that was significantly better than our last lap. And I think an absolutely huge upgrade over the original time of this car. Let's see, what did that run? 132.1. The car originally ran a... Wow, okay, so it's in the top 5 now. It gained 5 seconds off of just aero. That is crazy. Wow. And that actually put it right behind the fastest car that I ever built during the Racing Modified series, which I'm actually talk about that a little bit later. I'm bringing that back. I've got a car in mind that I really want to bring this back with. But the fact that it was, I mean, it's obviously well behind the GTR, but it beat the Taycan Turbo S, which was, in my opinion, the best EV in the game. And keep in mind, that was on the old physics, where cars tend to be a little bit faster. Found that out last video if you guys didn't see that. But, wow. Okay, that is a huge jump. I think it's safe to say, at this point in time, I was wrong about the Ioniq 5N. In its original state, the car is buns. But when you put time into it, you put the money into it, and you put all the aero on it, you do all the work, fantastic car. Like, I'm genuinely impressed at that time. That time, it does not feel like that fast. Like, I thought for sure that Taycan Turbo S would retain its crown as the best EV in the game. That's not a VGT, obviously. But Ioniq just stole it. Wow. So I guess the real question is what will it do around Road Atlanta? Atlanta is my ultimate testing ground. It's a track I know very well. It's actually my home track. I've done thousands upon thousands of laps here, all across the sim world. You guys saw just a few days ago, I posted a video of me doing a couple of runs here in iRacing. So let's see. The car ran a 132. I believe that same GTR is in the top 20. It is not. If I had to guess, it is going to be probably in this category of cars. Apparently not. So let's see if we bump it up here. So this is that same GTR. It ran a 114.4. I'm gonna say this car. It's gonna run a 120. I'm gonna say 120. I'm gonna say 120 to 119 is where this car is gonna sit. I'm gonna lowball just in case this thing runs like a 115. But let's see what she does on Road Atlanta, my home track. I'm gonna come through 10A and 10B here. I actually sat in these bleachers at Petit Le Mans this past year. Won't get to that this year. I think I've talked about it before, but Petit Le Mans is actually on my wedding day this year. Alright, dive into turn 1. This car is probably not going to be able to take this terribly fast. And immediately found the limits. Yikes. Okay. That's okay. We'll retry that. I'm not going to bother going a full lap around. Alright. Take 2. So yeah, we entered turn 1 at about 160, 150 kilometers an hour, so definitely going to have to slow this down a good bit from that 160, 170 range. Okay, I guess I just suck. Alright, into the top of the hill. The weight is definitely playing a factor here, but we were able to go through that almost flat out. Definitely did not like that corner all that much. Alright, and now we're moving on to the back straight. I did the same thing I did in the iRacing video. That corner is just, I know it's a freaking killer for a lot of people, but man, that corner seems to really be my enemy here. But I don't think we lost a whole lot of time from it. Full power, 260 kph top speed. That is definitely going to hurt the time on this car because, you know, some of these faster times need to be really up there in the mile-an-hour side. All right. Around the final corner, exactly what I thought it would run, a 119.0. I said the brakes are definitely not that great still. Actually, though, it seems like it might be better. All right, let's launch it. About 60 miles an hour, not bad. Not a bad time at all. It is about what I thought it would run, and I think it is still punching well above its weight at a 119 flat, because I believe that was like low 800 performance point level cars. We're at 718. I could hit the right button. So yeah, this is the 800 performance point board. We shot up above what looks like, yeah, we beat a 993 RS with 763 performance points. That's getting pretty close to that 800 mark. We beat the Huracan GT3 around here, which is extremely close to 800 performance points. And my Audi Sport Quattro I built to run around here. A little bit of extra work, a little bit of cleanup on that line at I believe that's turn 8 or 9. 8, I believe it's 8. Would be probably closing in on the SLR McLaren and the Ford GT, which again, these are two cars that are well above the weight of the Ioniq 5N in terms of, you know, performance points. So all in all, I'm extremely impressed. I did not think that the Aero was going to make that much of a difference with this car. And it has just taken the crown of top EV in this game. That's not a VGT. So huge props to that. That's crazy. So yeah, I guess to close this video out, was I wrong about the Ioniq 5N? I was. I didn't judge it at its full potential, and I think I did it a huge disservice doing that. Do I still think there are better ways to improve this car? All day long. I think putting the fake 8-speed would have done that alone. And the brakes are still kind of buns. Let's be real. Like, I do not like the brakes on this car. I have to feel like I have to stand on them for way too long to get this car to slow down. Even at 3,300 pounds, which is a fairly okay weight car. That's a little bit more than my Mark 7 GTI weighs about 3,000 pounds. So it's 300 pounds more than my Mark 7. So theoretically, should not take significantly more brake force than a Mark 7 GTI to stop this thing, but it does. So obviously, I attribute that to regenerative braking, as they wanted to. I guess they wanted to include that as kind of a realism in this car. So yeah, I think honestly, still the lack of the 8-speed and the brakes are still what hold this back for being my favorite EV in the game. The Taycan will still be my personal favorite, but it's obvious that the Ioniq 5N is the true fastest non-concept race car or VGT EV in the game. So all in all, hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a like and subscribe for more videos coming soon on GT7 and others. And I will see you guys next time. Take care and have a great day.